I'm sure you're getting all the notifications. Okay, the best revision techniques. Okay, there are several areas that I'll be pointing at. And the first one is, as a student, get to know what best work for you. As a student, get to know what best work for you. Are you the student that can be able to concentrate sitting down to revise for long hours? Or you're the type of student who work best by taking some breaks? There's some students maybe who will concentrate maybe 1 hour. After 1 hour, you want to do something else, to take a break, then come back to it. The other student maybe you're able to concentrate for long hours, even 2 hours without taking a break. So you need to know yourself. Are you able to absorb or to get more in your revision, taking short breaks? Or you can do it for long hours without stopping. The other, you need to know yourself again when it's come to the time of the day. It depends on whether you're in day school or boarding school. For those of you who are in day school, of course, during the week, during the school term, during the day you'll be in school. So, does your school provide some revision club where you can go after school and catch up with your homework, which is part of revision? Or even revision time, you can also use that time to revise before you go home. Or you have to go home straight after school and catch up with your homework and the other revision at home. I know the other schools that actually provide revision time are in the morning. You go like 45 minutes before the school starts and they provide the revision materials, and then you can sit down and revise before the day, and especially close to assessment or exams. If you're in a boarding school or the school provides boarding facilities and you stay in school, then you have got, during the day you're in class, you attend your lessons, and then after school you have got time before you go for dinner, so you can revise that time. Or after dinner, before you go to bed, I know most boarding school students go for preps or for studies. Are you best at that time? Or are you in the morning before the school starts? I know there's some schools that provide study time and prep time before the school starts after breakfast. So you need to know the best time that you concentrate more, when you understand better. And again, when you're revising, let's say if it's in the evening, whether you're in day school or in a boarding school, if it's, let's say, 2 hours that you're revising, do you need to take a break? The break may be, if you're at home, you could maybe help out with some work in the house or do something else, and then come back and continue with your revision. But if you're in a boarding school and you're not allowed to leave the class, you have to be in the class for the 2 hours. If you're the type of a student that takes breaks in between, depending on your best mode of revision, maybe you can change and revise different subjects, or you can take a novel, especially for those who are doing literature in English. You can take a novel and read for some time and then come back to your revision. So you need to know how you need to alternate yourself in order to be able to get the best from your revision. So there we have looked at knowing your best, knowing yourself best, how you do better or when you do better. The next point that I want us to look at, as you're doing your revision, bear in mind what your subject teacher has taught you. Bear in mind what your subject teacher has taught you, and especially when it comes to the best criteria in order to get the best. For example, in all the subject, when the teachers are covering a certain topic, of course, there are different subtopics that they'll be looking at, they'll be teaching you, and in between they'll be giving you some questions, maybe at the end of the topic or at the start of the lesson, at the end of the lesson, in between. So what success criteria have they taught you, especially when it's come to answering the questions? Because when you're answering the questions, it is important also to look at some questions, because you're preparing for assessments, you're preparing yourself for exams. So get to know the best criteria that your teacher has taught you. If it's a 2 marks question, what are you supposed to concentrate on when you're answering that question? If it's a 6 marks question, if it's a 4 marks question, if it's a high marks question, depending on the exam board that your subject or the exam board that you have to be assessed through or examined through at the end of when it's exam time, whether it is national exams or mocks. So the highest mark, for example, if it is an 8 marks question, your subject teacher will have taught you the best success criteria on how to approach that question in order to get maximum marks out of it. All right, so don't forget to refer to your subject teacher, what your subject teacher has taught you, the best success criteria in order to do very well in that question. If you're not sure about it, just go back to the subject teacher and ask them. They'll be able to tell you or to advise you and to guide you on this. But I'm sure most of the subject teachers will have done it. But in case you're not sure, or if you have forgotten, do not be afraid to go and ask your subject teacher again. The other area that I wanted us to look at, or I want to bring to your attention, is when you're revising, revise widely, revise broadly. Some subjects are intertwined. They kind of cover the same topics, so you can take advantage of that. For example, myself, I am a geography teacher. There are some topics I teach, and the student asked me, Mrs. Kimani, are you teaching us geography or science? We did that in science maybe last year or last week, but we are covering it again in geography. And I tell them, yes, this is geography, but some of the topics may be covered in geography or in science, because geography is a science itself. So make use of that. It's important because you're able to build your knowledge, whether you're in science lesson or even in geography lesson, depending on the subject itself. Okay. Something else that you could utilize is forming division groups. I know here it will depend on whether it's a student, at whichever level you're at, whether you're in a boarding school or a day school. If you're in a day school, if maybe your school provides, because during the day you will be going for your timetable subject or lessons. So after school, does the school provide after school club, revision on revision? You could utilize that and get to know the students who have got the best interest like you and want to do well in their assessment, in their exams, etc., or in their progress in education. So you can meet that time and form in division group and try to catch up with what maybe you did during the day, or look at an exam. Look at an exam question. Look at an exam question. Maybe during the lesson, if the teacher had given you a question, you can catch up together on that question, reminding each other the success criteria that your teacher taught you, and work out through that question. And again, during the weekend, you can organize with your parents. You can visit each other, maybe if it's around, and then you can visit each other's. But during this time, make sure you remain focused in order to achieve what you're doing, to get the best from what you're doing. For those of you who are in boarding school, you have got plenty of time. After school, you can catch up, form a revision group with the people that you know you're going to benefit, other students that you know you're going to benefit the best from. Or maybe during the evening prep time, you can organize maybe with your teachers. If it's 2 hours, you can maybe meet somewhere with your friends within the school, maybe in the school hall for half an hour, discuss. The teacher on duty will be watching and supervising you. Or during the weekends, make use of this time. And again, especially for you, for those of you who are doing the teacher in English, get time, discuss the novel that you're doing, analyze it. Also, get a poem, analyze that poem, help each other. Group work or revision group work is very, very good. It enhances understanding. And then, after you have revised with your friends again, if you realize that there's an area that probably you need to revisit individually and revise again so that you understand better after talking with your friends, revising with your friends, the better. Also, in that revision group, as you meet together and discuss, revise, is it a question you're looking at together? You can revisit the resources that your teacher gave you and look at it again. Or if you're not sure, go back to the subject teacher as a group and tell the teacher, please revisit this area and explain it to us again. It's very important. Also, either individually or even in the group, remember to practice exam papers. You know, the past exam papers in that topic. All the marks, all the questions, depending on the marks, the questions will be at times divided into part A, B, C, D, different marks. Revisit that and practice how to do it. Individually, you can tell your teacher to check for you, or in a group. And I'm very sure subject teachers, when you are going through the topics, they will give you this question to practice, either individually or in group, and then mark it together. But again, it's always good to go an extra mile as a student, yourself, individual, in a group. This is what makes the difference between a student getting a grade 9, the best grade in GCSE, or an ESTA in A-levels, and another student getting a grade 4 or even a grade C in A-levels. So you need to do that extra mile in your revision, in your preparation for the exam. We said that you spend a lot of time in school as a student, right from being very young all the way to a teenager, adolescents, young adults at the university. So you spend a lot of your time in going through school. So it's best to get the best out of it, the best results, the best outcomes. And as you put effort, I'm sure you'll get the fruits of it. You'll see the best results out of it. I remember, let me give you an example of myself. I remember when we were doing our O-levels. I was in a boarding school, as I said before. As we came close to the exam, let's say the exam, our national exams were October, November. We were doing them at the end of the year. But I remember around June, we formed a group of girls, a number of us. We were about 7. And as we went home for the August holidays, we agreed when you go home, talk to friends from other schools and get to know some of the questions, the exam questions they have been given back in their schools. And as you come back to school in September, come with them and we shall revise them in the group. And that's what we did. As we came back in September, we started revising together, looking at these questions as a group. We used to meet in the school hall. When the rest are in the classes, we would go in the school hall. There were 7 of us. Of course, our teachers knew that. The teachers who were on duty knew that. And we started revising, looking at these questions, discussing them. And apart from the questions, we started looking at the poems, the novels, discussing the novels that we were doing. And we got really good in it. And then if there was something we weren't sure about, we went back to our teachers, we asked for help. And it helped us as girls as well, individually, because once we identified I'm weak in this area, after discussing, we would go and revise individually and get better. And as I told you in another video, that when we joined A-levels, we went to different schools, but myself and one of my friends from the group that were in O-levels, we joined the same school. And because it had been very effective and we saw how well it worked, when we joined A-levels, we went and recruited 7 other girls. So we were 9 in the group. And we continued revising. This time in A-levels, we used to meet after school, just before we went for dinner. So we would, after the lessons, as we waited to go for dinner, we used to meet for 1 hour in the group, the 9 of us, and we would discuss. We started discussing questions, looking back at what we did during the day. And then we really got better. But there's something we realized. We realized that some of us were very good when it comes to revising together. We had the subject knowledge and everything. But when it comes to the assessment or end of topic assessment or end of term exams or even the mocks, we realized that some of us were not doing well in the group. They were very knowledgeable, but when it comes to the exams or assessment, some would panic or some would run out of time. So we decided we need to look at this, and therefore what we did, we decided that out of the 9, one of us each evening will be giving the rest a question to answer. So we would meet after school for around 45 minutes before dinner, then would go back after dinner for preps. And then the school had organized that the lower school, the girls would go to bed at 8:45, and then the rest, at the upper school, would go and to the dining hall and have a cup of hot chocolate, and then go back to classes and revise up to around 9:45. So what we decided in the group of 9, during this time, after we come back from the dining hall, around 9:10, we would give each other, that time before we went to bed, we would give each other a question. So one of the girls would prepare a question depending on the subject, whether it's geography, I did geography, or literature, or religious education, or general paper. And then once whoever is giving the question gave the rest of the girls, she would give us the exact time for that question. If it was a national past paper, a question from a past paper, national exams, then whoever is giving the question for that day would give the exact time that if you are sitting in a national exam, the time you'll be given. If it's half an hour, it's half an hour. So she would watch and then write the question, answer, and then exactly the time to say stop, and then she would correct the papers. Then the following day, would meet after school and mark those questions. And I'm telling you, that builds our confidence. We were able to know how to time ourselves in answering the questions. And by the end of it, when we did our exam, the national exams, at the end of our A-levels, we all made it to university. And we passed very, very well. I'm saying some of us almost got full mark. Whatever full mark one could have got in that national exam in A-levels. So it is very important to work together. Buddy system or revision groups work very well when it comes to students helping and supporting each other. And for those of you who are in day school, weekends you can organize your parents can come together. A student get to know your best friend that you work very well with in school. And even during school holidays, maybe you can catch up once or twice. And then if one of the parent or guardian can open the door, you go to their homes and catch up. I'm emphasizing on this because I remember when my daughter was doing her GCSE, I personally organized, although it was not revision group or not, but I asked my daughter about her best friends, the one she works with best. This was 3 months to their national GCSE exams, and she told me, and I invited the girls to my house just for dinner to catch up, and I prepared for them all the African delicacies, food, and they really enjoyed it. And then I was just doing that to help them relax. And then I noticed one of the parents, one of the guardians from that group of girls, actually organized during the school holidays. This was now Easter holidays, April, before they did their GCSE in May. She organized it as a revision group. So they went to her home. Of course, as parents, we dropped the girls in the morning and we left them there. We picked them in the evening. And during the day, what they did, some of the girls had gone out of the country for holiday. And this mom was so proactive and she organized. And the girls who are in her house revising were able to catch up with the girls who are even outside the country through video call, and they did revision. Very good revision throughout the day. And by the time I picked my daughter and the rest of the parents, guardians picked their daughters in the evening, they were very happy. My daughter told me it was very helpful. So there's that provision if your child is in day school. And there's also that provision for those students who are in boarding school. It's just looking at what will be the best in order to get the best out of it. All right. If I could say about the revision group that you form a student, whether in day school or even in boarding school. For those of you who are in day school, we said you can do it if there's an after-school club in school, or you can organize weekends or during school holidays. For those of you who are in boarding school, you look at the best time you can do that. Remember to be focused and give it full attention. Take it seriously. And with this, it's going to build your confidence. And especially because when you're in the group, you're working with your age mates, your group, you find that it will build your confidence because you realize that you can contribute. You realize that you have got the knowledge, and this continue motivating you, and you do very well. And also, coming back, when you're doing your revision as a student, at whichever level, try to bullet point, write a summary of what you're revising, so that when it's come close to exam, and you don't have a lot of time to go back revising through all the textbooks or your notes, if you had done some summary somewhere, you'll be able to go back and scan through the bullet points, and you'll be able to remember because you had revised before. All you need to do is look at the bullet point, scan through, and you're going to remember everything on what you had read in that area as you are revising. And coming to that, it's always good to have a diary or a big journal where you can do your revision. And just to bring your attention that I have written this diary. It's A4 in size and it is big in size. And if I can show you, this is the front part of it. And because it's big, I'm able to make a lot of my notes in it without having to use so many papers here and there, because at times the papers can be displaced. So it's good to get a big diary or a big journal or a big book where you can be able to bullet point as you are revising. Of course, you need to say this is a topic and then bullet point what you are revising, so that when it comes to the close to the exam, you have got all your bullet points under one book, in one book, where you can refer back to. So get a copy of my revision diary. It's available online on amazon.co.uk and amazon.com. Under this video, I'm going on the description section. I'm going to upload on how you can get it, on how you can order it. So you can order it online. You can even go to any bookshop from whichever part of the world you're coming from. You can go to any bookshop with my name, the other name, Anna Kimani, or with the diary text, the diary title, Self-Care Student Diary, /journal Anakimani. And the good thing with this, I have improved them. Now they are not going according to the terms or the dates. Yes, because it's a big diary, it's big, I can't do it for the whole year, January to December. So what I've done is I've got for the January to April, then May to August, and then August to December. So you have got the 3 diaries covering the whole year, depending on what term you are in your country, because different countries have got different names of the academic terms. Some of them will have first term January to April, others will be, for other countries, that will be the Easter, that will be the spring term, depending on what you call the academic term in your country, where you're coming from. The journals will cover you because they are there January to April. The other one is from May to August, and the other one is from September to December. So have them, and then as you're revising each day, just go to that exact date and then bullet point what you're revising. That's the subject, and then your bullet points there. So that when it comes to your revision, and as I approach the exams, close to exam, when you don't have a lot of time to start going through textbooks, through all your notes, then you can just scan through very quickly and remember what you revised before. Okay. I think we have covered mainly what I wanted us to cover when it comes to the best revision techniques. And remember, as you revise, refer back to your subject teacher. They'll guide you. They'll show you the best way to do it, the best success criteria. If you can't remember what your subject teacher told you about it, just go and see them and ask them, what do I need? Especially when it comes to the questions themselves. Ask them the best success criteria, because it is a 2 marks question. Even if you spend 10 minutes on a 2 marks question, even if you write a full page on a 2 marks question, you won't be given more than 2 marks. If it is a top marks question, which is 8 marks, you need to spend more time on it. I always advise my students, if it is a high marks question, especially above 8 marks question, the 8 marks question, you need to spend about 8 minutes. And if you have to go beyond that, not more than 10 minutes, actually 8 minutes. How many points do you need to write on that question, 8 marks question? Different points in order to get those 8 marks. And again, remember to read the question properly. Remember to read the question properly so that you are answering what you have been asked. In another session, we shall be looking at the best exam techniques in order to get the best when you're writing your exams, whether it is teacher assessment, school assessment, or the national exams. I'll be covering that on the best exam techniques. Today we are looking at the best revision techniques, and I hope it has been helpful.